our common bonds are greater than anything that could divide us. In a lot of ways, at the end of the day, we want so many of the same things. We might have different visions of how we get there, but we all want so many of the same things that if we build on that, we can win. I did this actually in the legislature. So when I was elected, Allie mentioned I was the youngest black state legislator, nearly 90 years. I'm in this space. A lot of them aren't from the West End, not from the hood, and don't look quite like me. And they're like, okay, this young guy's in here. Oh, he's not registered as our party. We're definitely going to ignore him. I was able to get a bill passed in my first session with someone I call a brother who I strongly disagree with on a lot of things. I light him up. He's from Greenup. And we passed the bill together in my first session, and a lot of people were like, how'd you do it? Well, I found a common bond. Some of y'all may have heard this story, but I'm gonna share it here just because it deserves space. I am a type 1 diabetic, as mentioned, and when you are doing things that are really intense, Chris, you know, your glucose can drop. So there are times when I would go into the state house, in the chambers, and hearing them compare abortion to lynching and saying that my history doesn't matter and the fact that my granddad had to guess the number of beans in a jar so that he could vote is irrelevant, it can make your glucose drop. It can do something to your spirit. And so there were times I'd be sitting in the chambers and I'd start sweating or I'd start shaking a little bit. And this gentleman, the state representative, sat beside me in the house. And there was one time during the session he handed me a peppermint. And he didn't say anything. He was just like, I think you need this. And then I noticed in like days to come that he was jittery. And I know what that feels like. You know, if any of you all have dealt with type 1, type 2 diabetes and have dealt with high or low blood sugars, you know that it can affect you. And I saw that in him, and I had some crackers, and I was like, do you need some of these? And eventually we admitted to each other that we were both type 1 diabetics. And although his party is different than mine, although he's from Greenup and I'm from the West End of Louisville, we found something that brought us together. And I told him, hey, I want to work on some bills to make sure that people can get insulin even if they don't have money. And he was like, well, Charles, I've dealt with that too. And I was like, well, why don't we work together then? I don't think he expected me to say that, but I told him, look, there's a Republican supermajority, so now I'm out myself. There's a Republican supermajority, and if I file the bill, it won't get the light of day. So you file the bill, and I'll support you, and we became this tag team, like this weird duo, because he's an older white man with a big beard, and then you see me, and so we're like the odd couple going before a committee to talk about the fact that no one should have to ration their medicine to survive. And we passed that bill, and it was because we found our common bond. So I know it's possible.